It's midday in Nairobi, and as a typical development worker, I find myself stuck in a taxi. Traffic is chaos. Cars are packed in front of me tighter than my suitcase at Christmas. And trust me, that's something. Out of nowhere comes this massive vehicle, bright colors, TV screens, huge TV screens, inside and outside. I asked the taxi driver, what is this thing? And he says, this is the matatu. It's super popular here with young people. It's colorful, effective, moving much faster than he was. Even though I was super stressed and I was thinking about the organizations I was about to meet, this driver, this crazy vehicle, it had an impact on me, a lasting impact. I work for RNV Media, and we strive and pride ourselves on amplifying the voices of young people. I work in Uganda, Nigeria, Kenya, and Rwanda. I work with local organizations who are at the front line of advocacy for sexual and reproductive health. Organizations like Reach a Hand Uganda, the Network for Adolescents Youth for Africa in Kenya, Equality Triangle Initiative in Nigeria. These organizations talk to young people every day. They have meaningful conversations that inspire people. And yet, like me, they have to write long reports and statistics and measurements, log frames. As a young African, I spend a lot of my time trying to bridge the gap between the understandings and the imagined realities that are in New York, and not necessarily the lived experience on the ground. These organizations share this problem with me. We spend a lot of time trying to build networks on the ground. We gather a lot of information. And yet when it comes to reporting time, we have to translate this into what a gray-haired white man thought would be meaningful, thought would be respectable. The organizations I work with present at the United Nations, for example. Equality Triangle had the first LGBT representative presenting a shadow report in November. As much as we are proud of their work, we would love to bring the conversations of young people on the ground and have them taken as seriously as statistics and log frames. This driver, this matatu that drove past me, inspired what I call the data matatu. The data matatu is a software that analyzes openly available information on social media. It looks at conversations on Twitter based on hashtags that are chosen by the advocacy organizations I work with. These conversations can be positive or negative according to the issue. I'll give an example. Female genital mutilation. It's an issue that's really at the forefront in Kenya, for example. The president of Kenya uses the hashtag FGM when he's talking about universal health coverage. Media organizations then pick up on that chatter, and you'll find that the general sentiment around FGM in Kenya is very neutral. Hashtag FGM doesn't really say something, right? Advocacy organizations who want to change this, they're using hashtag EndFGM. The data matatu would take that information and bring it to President Kenyatta to show him that if he links the feeling of young people with the issue at hand, that is more likely to create change. It's more likely to get buy-in from them, but also to affect policy that's effective and that's meaningful. It also remains current and it remains in touch with the issues that are touching people today. A lot of the statistics we're using in our reports are based from the WHO report of 2016. And this is affected by so many issues. It could be the economics at the time, the resources at the time, what's popular for Bill and Melinda Gates. But if I'm an LGBT person, if I'm a lesbian in Lagos, my worry is not how I'm described in a donor report somewhere. It's more about the relationships I'm having. It's more about me wanting to celebrate the nurse who didn't ask if I have a husband. These are the things I'm talking about on Twitter. The Twitter fights, the Twitter storms. This is where the juice is. This is where the real conversations are. This is not someone's imagination in an office somewhere. The data matatu takes that information with the young people in hand. Note, it's the young people who are choosing the hashtags that we follow. And it takes them to policy spaces where I hope they're taken as seriously and as seriously as I would want to be taken when I'm sitting in that office with my suit on, addressing people who might not understand what I talk about when I get home. We need a more decolonized approach to the way we look at information, to the way we respect information, to find out what is meaningful at the time and what's going to affect change. And the data matatu asks itself that. As we move into this era of SDGs, the Social Development Goals, the Sustainable Development Goals, we need to ask ourselves this question. Whose voice are we listening to? Where have we gathered this information? And is that person sophisticated sitting in a taxi? Or they're in that matatu? Thanks.